Welcome to the basement.
This is a UFC Hall of Famer, Ken Shamrock, and you're listening to the Basement Boys Podcast. Enjoy. God bless. Happy holidays.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Basement Boys Podcast. I am Chris Gray. That is Eric Minzer. And right here, we got Devin Mitchell.
You, what it do?
Back for the second episode in a row, Dev. How does it feel?
I'm on a 2-game winning streak. It feels amazing. Played myself out of the first round pick, first overall pick, but hey, got number 2.
Really, like 20 seconds in and you're making Jets jokes?
Wow.
Hey, the Knicks have won 2 in a row. Let's talk,
Sports are fucking drunk.
Yeah, they are.
We'll get into that.
Hey, I mean, it's 2020. Would you expect it to end any way other than just insanity?
No.
I mean, it's not
No.
even full insanity, but
And the thing
It's gotten close.
if it wasn't for his China team, it could have been Lin Sanity again.
Oh. Yo, T.O.'s coming out here, though, and saying Donovan McNabb was drunk before he hit the Super Bowl when the Eagles played the Patriots.
That wouldn't surprise me. Fucking Joe Namath drank like a fifth of fucking whiskey before every game.
I think 2020 needed a TO headline.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was what was missing.
Yeah.
Just sprinkle that in there at the end, just to put the cherry on top.
We're definitely gonna talk about some diva receivers that happened this year.
Oh, yeah. Nice year in review. Everyone's doing it. You kind of have to do it this year. We debated not doing it, but like I said, this is the type of year that's never happened before. So it's just one of those things like you kind of have to do it.
We're gonna all remember 2020 for a very long time for not such great reasons, but I mean, Dev, you have a great reason to remember this year.
Yeah, I mean, my daughter, she is my bright spot of this year, but everything else is just making me sad. But I look at her and she laughs at me and smiles, so I'm like, okay, it wasn't all bad.
Yeah,
There we go.
100%. All right. So the year started off like any other year. Had some basketball, had some fighting, had everything going on. Conor McGregor beat someone with his fucking elbow.
Yeah. Oh, the year started with the sports year really started for me at least with LSU winning the national championship in New Orleans, which was cool because Coach O pretty much is the king of Louisiana. Him and Joe Burrow had pretty much a perfect season, as good as it gets. They won, and that's where it starts for Odell Beckham Jr. on the sideline talking about some
That
diva.
was this year.
Oh,
This
my
year
goodness.
Is so long.
Right? Like, that was so long ago.
I forgot about Odell being on the sideline.
So we're going to get into awards, but we got to talk about Odell. He gave out the $100 to all the players. He got banned from LSU. Like, he can't go to sporting events. What did
Did
he
he-
think? What
Did
did
he
think was
almost
gonna
get
happen?
arrested? Did
Yes.
Odell?
Yeah, he slapped a cop on the ass.
Yeah, it wasn't for the money thing, but you're right. He was drunk and slapped a cop on the ass.
That was the same night, though, right?
Yeah.
It was all,
Oh,
it was
God.
all within the same few minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
this,
my goodness.
Yeah, this is all happening simultaneously.
Yeah, well, I guess you get drunk in New Orleans and, you tend to forget laws and rules and stuff. But that was a
True.
great win for LSU because it was breaking up the Alabama-Clemson chokehold on the sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, you get people coming in every now and then. You get your LSUs or your USCs, like we'll put a team together and make a run, even though every other year in between it's Alabama, Clemson. But
Right, and we could use that as a segue to talk about current college football playoffs, which is going to take place on January 1st, start of 2021. Alabama, 20-point favorites against Notre Dame. I think we've all seen the script before.
yeah, the only reason Notre Dame got in the first place is because they have that one win over Clemson, who was playing like half their starters.
Right. Does Alabama even have to play? Can we just advance them to the championship?
I mean, keep them fresh, get them some reps.
I feel like Nick Saban keeps that team on their toes and they're ready for anything.
Yeah, they're ready for war. if Alabama was under siege from another state, yeah, Saban's a general. Then you got the Trevor Lawrence and Clemson Tigers taking on Ohio State Buckeyes, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, the top 2 quarterbacks. That'll be a fun game. I still think Clemson's just such a better team.
Yeah.
Dabo
It's-
Sweeney is just dominating.
Not only that, Ohio State's played like 4 games because they were in the Big Ten, and half of those games got canceled.
6.
Like, oh, I'm sorry, 6 games, and half of those got canceled. But like, I feel like Clemson's just better prepared and a better team and older and wiser, and they'll have a cakewalk into a championship.
So it'll be Alabama Clemson again. What do you guys think? Who wins it?
I don't know, man. Fucking Alabama has more weapons, but I feel like Trevor Lawrence is the better weapon, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think Alabama has more options. Like their quarterback and their running back are up for Heisman right now. Like they have
2 star receivers who are going to
Yeah.
go top 10.
Mhm.
like I would say they're better wide receivers than Clemson's wide receivers, but I think it's Trask from Alabama, right?
Trask is
No.
on Florida.
I'm sorry, I'm terrible at all their names.
Mac Jones is from
Yeah,
Alabama.
Mac Jones. So I think Trevor Lawrence, again, I'm not the biggest college football guy, as you just saw. I got the names wrong, but I just think from what I've seen, from what I've heard from like the analysts that have breaking it down, Trevor Lawrence is the better of the two. And so it's kind of
That X factor.
it's kind of that X factor of is the one huge weapon, the one major weapon that can take over the game, or is it going to be it's kind of like, think of it like you have 5 people with pistols going up against one guy with an AK-47. You understand what I'm saying?
That's
Yep.
one way to look at it. Mac Jones, if you've never seen Mac Jones, I strongly recommend you pause this right now. Google image Mac Jones because he looks like a Mac Jones who would play quarterback for Alabama.
Yeah.
That's just what he looks like. It's awesome. I think it's going to be Alabama just steamrolling Clemson. I think not that Clemson is bad, and like you said, Trevor Lawrence is an X factor. He's going to score. It's just Alabama is setting records for their program with 49 points a game, 540 yards of offense a game. Like you said, quarterback, Mac Jones, wide receiver Devontae Smith, 2 Heisman nominees. You have Najee Harris, who's also an X factor, just explosive speed. It's just going to be too much. It's going to be a very high scoring game.
Isn't there running back?
Najee Harris is running back.
Oh, I thought you said wide receiver. My bad.
Devontae
that was-
Smith is the receiver. But they
Okay,
also have Jalen Waddle, who's going to be a pro. It's just such a loaded offense.
Right. I just think it's more weapons compared to the higher caliber of weapon on the other side.
But he doesn't play defense.
Right. Exactly.
Well, I'm going to agree with Eric and say it's Bama, but I think it's because, like Eric just said, they don't play defense. Like their secondary isn't that great, and Devontae Smith he's a monster. He's going to make someone in the NFL very happy when he makes it there, and he just torches defenses.
Do you think he's going to go first round?
Easily.
Yeah,
Really?
Top 10.
I really feel like wide receivers don't go first round much anymore.
But I feel like, especially after last season where you had this great rookie class of receivers with Justin Jefferson and Claypool and
Jerry Jeudy.
CeeDee Lamb, like all of those guys, I absolutely think both Waddle and Smith, both of them will go top 10.
Really?
I was going to say top 5. I don't know about that.
No, but I could definitely see them going top 10. I think your New York Giants should look at either of them. Nice building pieces to go with Jones and Barkley.
Giants need to figure out where we're going to draft. If it's middle of draft, end of the draft, or whatever. But we'll get to that.
Yeah,
So,
I like your chances for a better draft pick coming into week 17, but we'll get to that when we break down week 17.
yeah, we'll get to all of that. That was our college football preview. So we got Devin and I say Alabama's going to win it. Chris is taking Clemson. We're just going to ignore Ohio State and Notre Dame. Thanks
Yeah.
for showing up.
Have fun, guys.
But yeah, LSU's
Enjoy
win.
the festivities.
LSU's win started 2020, and we moved into February where you had the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl.
A lot of fun.
And you knew it was gonna happen, especially the way Jimmy Garoppolo went into those games. I think he had 86 pass yards the game before.
Yeah,
Something like that.
And like that's not even like me exaggerating to try to be funny. I think it was actually like 86 pass
No.
yards.
Yeah, it really was.
It was under 100. They were like, "Hey, we're just going to run the ball and we're
Hey.
going to play defense.
Hey, Breida, run. Like
Mozart, run."
It's funny because 2020 has taken such a turn for those two franchises. Like the Chiefs won the Super Bowl and are currently 14-1, going with the number 1 seed. Like they're going to be perfectly fine. And the 49ers, as we've mentioned before in the show, injury after injury after injury, just tough luck.
Estimated.
I agree what you're saying, but I don't know about Kansas City being really fine going into the again. We'll get to that, but I had to put that in there because a little suspect last couple weeks, but we'll get to that anyway. So yeah, big win. Patrick Mahomes gets his first Super Bowl, one of the next fucking 5 he's gonna win in the next 10 years. But we got to see the start of this dynasty that they're building over there.
And he broke the Madden curse,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot he was on the Madden cover.
right?
Yeah. I don't know. Everyone looks way too much into that type of shit, for my opinion.
Well, it's crazy though. Like, I think it's been all but 1 or 2 athletes that have been on the Madden cover just have horrible years or get hit hard with an injury.
I think injuries play a factor in that, but I also think that's just because they're doing things like Madden and stuff like that. They're starting to focus more on who was going in on it. Someone went in on it in one of like the Get Up shows or whatever. Athletes are more focused on like their brand these days, I feel like.
Yeah, but the Madden curse goes back. Like, remember Mike Vick was on the cover. He was like absolute cheat code. Then he had, off the field legal issues.
That would have came down whether he was on the Madden cover or not, my guy.
But it's a coincidence. It's a pattern. You know who's on the cover the next year? Ray Lewis. Off the field legal issues. Maybe
Allegedly.
Madden.
Okay, Dev.
Yeah. There's one year. Wasn't Peyton Hillis on the cover of Madden one year?
Yeah. Yep.
Dude, fucking Vince Young was on the cover of Madden.
He was on the
Oh,
cover.
fuck.
Yeah,
I forgot
Next-
about Vince Young.
that was
Next
the
year, he dropped the 3rd string. You're
Oh,
winning me
man.
over a little bit on this one.
Yeah, dude. I mean, Gronk was on one year and he got injured and didn't play most of that year. Antonio Brown was on the cover and lost his fucking mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but-
There's a Madden. Truth.
But how many times has Tom Brady been on the cover and won a Super Bowl after?
Okay. So I think
Okay.
one. That's fair. Yeah, but big win for Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah, definitely.
Huge one
Like
for
I-
Mahomes.
Like I said, start of a dynasty, going from winning MVP the year before to Super Bowl MVP the next year. Mahomes is not going to be stopped for the next 10 years until this contract's over.
Yeah, and I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit because he is my man of 2020. But we'll get to that in a minute. Going along the timeline here.
March.
March,
man.
shit
Yeah.
hit the fan, to put it
Yo.
lightly.
The
Talk
world
about-
exploded.
Talk about March Madness.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, pour one out.
Fucking March Madness got canceled altogether.
It was a different kind of March Madness.
Yeah. But yeah, so just the world shut off, and it was the first time we've ever seen anything like that. That's the thing.
No one knew how to respond to it. No one knew what to do.
And it was from all the organizations that from year after year after year for the past 50, 100 years would not bend, break, move, change anything for anything.
World War
Mhm.
II, they had the World Series. Everything just kept going. Didn't stop them.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever even heard of any other time where a season was shut down other than for like a strike thing.
Yeah.
No.
So the fact, and I still remember vividly, just watching the Mavs get ready to play, and just all of a sudden they have the camera on Mark Cuban,
Mm-hmm.
and you just see his face turn to almost white in complete shock. And then within 15 seconds, they're just like, hey, so we're not playing this game.
I remember my girlfriend and I were in Los Angeles, flying back to New York that day, and we're at the airport, and I'm just checking my phone because I'm addicted to sports, as you know, and I see the shit with Rudy Gobert. And I'm thinking he's the biggest asshole of all time.
Oh my God.
And at
Oh,
first
yeah.
it's like Rudy Gobert is listed as questionable because of an illness. Then about 40 minutes later, it's like the whole team is listed as questionable because of an illness. And then by the time we landed, shit had hit the fan. Like the press conferences were going on. They were like the league, that game was canceled. Then the league was canceled. Then NHL was paused. Then MLS and Europe and like everything just one by one as we're driving from JFK home. It was just a wild experience.
And I
Oh.
even in just like the person and like on a personal level for us, me and Dev worked together. I remember one day we were working, we were literally the day before talking about, oh hey, this corona thing's getting real, huh? And then the next day we walk in and everyone's shoving masks in our face.
Yep.
Like just
I think that day, we were both working March 11th, and I look at my phone and I'm like, oh shit, this game's canceled. Oh shit, this is happening. Like Eric was saying, it was just one right after another of bombs dropping and being like, yo, this is canceled. This team might have it. Like the Utah Jazz has to be like quarantine, like hazmated up and everything. Like they ain't allowed to leave the hotel rooms or whatnot. It's crazy.
I remember the one that hit me was getting the text that Tom Hanks had it.
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, oh, if famous people can get it, it's serious. Like,
Yeah.
I think that was the one for everybody.
Then the next couple weeks were Tiger King. Remember that?
Oh,
Yep.
yes. Our first episode, speaking of which, right after this, April 4th, I want to say. I feel like it was either April 4th or April 7th. The world got introduced to the greatest podcast of all time, the
The
Basement
best.
Boys podcast. First
Boom.
episode, talking about Tiger King. Fucking the most wild shit ever. I will say it again. Don't give a fuck. Carol Baskins killed her husband.
Oh yeah, 100%.
There's a member of our fantasy football league who has named their team Carol Baskin's going to get you.
True.
Relevant.
Yeah.
And I'm going
But,
against him this week, and I swear to God, if I lose again, I'm gonna fucking just fight him in real life.
Dude, do what you got to do.
I'm sorry, he had the dog shittiest draft, and I've said that on the podcast before because I will own it.
It works for him, though.
I know he really. He
I don't
made
know
it work.
how. I don't know
I know
how.
We're gonna shit on our friend Mike. Love you, but he has like the lowest percentage of points for in the whole league, but he finished.
He had a winning record.
Yeah, he finished like 8-5. I don't understand. Everyone just had their worst weeks against him.
So, anyways, then what was next in the year was a
May?
void.
Yeah, just
No, you forgot. Well, yeah, I guess April came and went.
can I tell you,
Then May came and went.
this was
The Last Dance. Oh wait, sorry.
no, let me tell you. I know Eric's only been on for the past couple months now. That time, because me and Devin were stupid and decided to start a podcast based mainly on sports right when sports died.
Stupid or smart?
So
Innovative.
trying to
They-
figure out how we were going to do this podcast, just how we wanted to run a podcast while not having the one thing the podcast is based around was the hardest thing I've ever had to do probably in my life.
And here you are wearing a suit talking about it like the good old days.
Well, it's the end of your special, you know? Got to dress up. Got to
I didn't get the memo.
do it for the
I'm sorry.
fans.
Didn't get the memo.
I put it in the group chat.
Yeah. Natalie was probably screaming in my face when it came through.
True.
Probably saying, "I'm hungry. Feed me."
But Dev, you brought up The Last Dance.
That's literally what got us through
That
that
got us
time.
through. That was like,
Oh
I
my God.
remember looking forward to Sundays just to see the next episode. It was like football. Just looking forward
Yeah.
to Sunday.
Yeah.
What's crazy is that 2020 came year round because, like we said before, James Harden watched that and was like, I'm going to be Dennis Rodman.
No, for real though. Well, I think according to everyone, he's been being Dennis Rodman for the past few years. He just has been able to hide it well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Which
when
I
you
don't know how you do that in 2020, but
not dye your hair 15 different colors a season.
I know, but just still like flying away from games, going to strip clubs after every win.
Well, that was another thing that came out in 2020 was you got the behind the scenes of the preferential treatment for stars like Harden and the whole Clippers situation with Kawhi and Paul George. We can get into that a little later too.
Yeah.
then we really did have this big void in those sports.
It was just the weirdest time. Wasn't no sports. The UFC came back after like a month, which, again, the Last Dance and the UFC carried this podcast for about 4 months.
Okay, well, I'm giving out the award. I don't know if this is a real award on the show. I'm making it up right now. The most innovative, creative solution to your problems goes to Dana White for coming up with Fight Island.
Yo,
He was
fucking
talking
genius.
about fight boats at one time. Like,
The NBA bubble was great and a solid runner-up, but Dana White took Mortal Kombat, the video game, and said, "We're doing it."
fucking Kumite, let's go, Bloodsport.
It was unbelievable that he was able to pull that off.
No, yeah, it was. I'll give it to Dana White. As much as at the time I was kind of iffy on the decision because I didn't get a chance myself to read the protocol the UFC put into place, and for all intents and purposes, the protocol they've had has worked. They've had people come in who, when they get into the bubble, test positive, and no one else gets it because they make sure everyone's quarantined until the test comes back. Like, they're doing everything the right way. So all the little misgivings I had in the beginning of the year, like, I'll walk back a little bit just because we didn't know at the time exactly how they were going to handle it, but they've been handling it the right way. But I say all that to say, Dana White, if you tell him he can't do something, he's just going to do it despite you.
Yes.
He's that fucking guy.
And I think we're all thankful for him in a way because they kind of laid the groundwork for how the NBA went about their bubble. And like you said, you test positive, you quarantine, you shut that person down, you isolate them, you contact trace, like you do all the right steps. And the NBA hasn't had a COVID outbreak like we've seen in other sports, like baseball had, like the NFL. You've seen certain teams get hit with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It just goes to show that if you follow the right protocols and take the right measures, we can beat COVID.
At the same time, we talked about this when the protocol first came out and they started doing their first couple events. It wasn't a model that could be used by the NFL. The NFL is just too large. You can't,
That's
like,
true.
maybe, like, I think they should bubble for the playoffs, but 53-man rosters, coaching staffs, nutritionists, blah, 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 blah. And, like, all these people, like, you also have to understand it's not like they can just, like, cut the nutritionist for the year because it's in their NFLPA contract.
Right.
Yeah,
it's much bigger in terms of manpower. That's a good point.
So bubbling there, they would have to, like, literally.
They would have to
buy,
take
like,
over a city.
Yeah.
Be like, all right, we're gonna put the bubble up over,
Okay.
Kansas City,
Take
and
Cleveland.
be like, yo, let's be nice to Cleveland, okay? They're going through some shit.
Yeah, fucking be nice to the dog pound, all right?
All right, I'm sorry, Cleveland.
But yeah, so came back with that, and that was the first. I remember when the first UFC event happened, the whole world was just sitting there, just like, is this gonna work out? Is everyone gonna die? What does this mean for sports? And even after that, for months, everyone was debating whether any other sport could do it. They were debating about the NBA bubble. They were debating about baseball's plan. They were debating about whether football.
All of it, yeah.
It was like it's still just because one event, like one company, was able to hold a few events, didn't mean the rest of the world was gonna be able to handle it like they did.
But it showed that with the right thought process and plan and implementation of the plan, it's possible.
Right.
I remember Dabo Sweeney, like we were just talking college football. Dabo Sweeney in April was like, "Yeah, we're gonna play 100% like packed crowds, no doubts about it." And it's Dabo, like, do you realize this is bigger than that? Like,
Yeah, like-
something's happening.
Well,
Yeah.
he's just that's who Dabo is. He's so
Such a football guy.
yeah, he's such a football guy, and he's so ingrained into just like his area. You know what I mean?
Right.
He worries about Clemson and
Yeah.
Clemson all day, every day. Doesn't really worry about, the rest of the world until
Right.
it affects Clemson.
And that's why he's been so successful as a coach. Like, this isn't even me taking shots at him. It's just who he is as a person. Like,
Right, but what I'm saying is, like, because Dana was able to look at it as bigger than just, like, me personally, Dana was able to look at the entire sport and figure out a way to get the UFC to work. that was able to happen. Where like with college sports, we did have a season for the most part, but there were college games like Clemson, Florida State that got canceled the morning of.
Right.
You know, like you were saying earlier, Devin, Ohio State's only played 6 games because they didn't want to have a season, the Big Ten, and then the last second they did. Same thing with Pac-12. Some teams only played 4 games, some teams played
Right.
6, but it was the same thing where they didn't want to have a season. Then they threw together a last-second plan. We saw baseball. The Marlins had an outbreak. The Cardinals players were out at a casino and got it, and it was just not fully cemented of how we were going to handle it.
Yeah.
Right.
College football was a big deal too, because I think it was the ACC, right? Who was just like, we're not playing, and then everyone else was like, we are playing, and
It was
then
the Big
Big
Ten.
Ten.
yeah. So they were like, we're not playing, and everyone else was like, well, we're playing, and they're just like, well, wait, we are playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's
I think
exactly
it was-
what happened.
I think it was like the Big Ten. They were thinking, okay, we'll be smart. We're going to shut the season down. And then, ACC,
Pac-12 was like, nah, we playing.
Right.
They were just like,
SEC.
hold up.
they were all going to join the Big Ten. And everyone else is like, that's cool. We're going to keep playing football. See you later. And then I heard like parents and students were like, yo, let us play. They were willing to go
Trevor Lawrence
protest.
went on his campaign.
Trevor
Yep.
Lawrence with the whole campaign, and then 2020 got him because he missed games with COVID, and that's when they lost. So 2020 was just a wild ride.
Yeah, do not sleep on 2020 because it will come back around and get you if you're not careful.
Potentially in another 100 years.
But yeah, then slowly but surely, we had the big fight between the MLB players and the the MLBPA and the MLB itself. But then slowly the bubble started happening, which I will give the players in the bubble and the teams and everyone in the NBA. Again, I think Adam Silver is probably the best commissioner in all of sports
Agreed.
after this
Mhm.
year, in my opinion. They all just sat back, worked together. It was just like, look, this is fucked. What can we do to make this work for everyone? And didn't have this big pissing match like the MLB did.
There's a
Right.
sports writer, I believe his name was Kevin Hayes. I could be making this up, but he writes for Yahoo Sports. And in May, he came up with the idea for the bubble. And it was like, go to Disney World. Like, they have the accommodations, they have the hotels, they have the staff, they have the courts, they can do it all there. Just isolate them. And somebody in the NBA offices read his article and was like, come
Yo,
check this out. Come check this out. You guys want to
This is
see
a good
this.
idea.
And they made it work, and it was different. It was definitely different. I'm not going to sit here and be like it was the same as watching the Lakers win the championship in Staples Center in front of the crowd. It's like, yeah, it was different, but it was sports and it was fun and it was something to talk about. And we got to see Devin Booker and the Suns go on their run, and the Blazers looked great.
And Jimmy Butler finally gets some respect put on his name.
Well, if we do a basketball segment, we got to go in about the Miami Heat surprise team. But the NBA, by making the bubble, put more pressure on the MLB to get it done. Because
Yeah, to get your shit together. Like,
Oh, yeah. Especially when MLB, they hadn't started their season yet. So they could have, salvaged most of it instead of playing, 60 games, I think?
Yeah.
Well, the owners only wanted that because they wanted to, I guess, reduce the cost or whatever. But that was the big fight. The players wanted more than 60 games, and the owners. You hear Manfred come out afterwards being like, "Well, the owners were never going to budge on 60 games." And it's just like,
Manfred's the worst.
yeah, I would put him lower than Goodell at this point.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
But the NFL also, to their credit, they were able to get it done. They eliminated the preseason, which I was just reading. There's a thing that they might just not have preseason anymore because there's just no need for it, which I don't totally agree with.
Yeah,
They were talking about that for a while, though.
yeah, but I think this year showed that it kind of did because everyone started out very sloppy.
Yeah, everyone got
injured.
hurt.
Yeah.
Everyone got hurt week 2. It was week 1, they were ready to go. Week 2, their bodies weren't adjusted to the recovery period.
I think part of that though is also they didn't really have OTAs and stuff like that. It was all over Zoom, and you can give them a exercise workout, but it's not being as explosive.
it's a
You know what I
contact
mean?
sport, and you need the contact.
So
Yep.
if they wanted to move it down to 1 or 2 preseason games, it's just get right games, or even these cross team scrimmages you guys see. I don't need the full spectacle for preseason.
I love the cross team scrimmages because 90% of the time it ends up in a brawl.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because everyone's just trying to like one up these like third stringers that they're putting out.
Everybody's trying to make the team, and you're just like, you're gonna throw me out here against this guy? Fuck this
Okay,
guy.
fine. I'll go toe to toe with this guy. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, he's not even my teammate, so I don't. It's not even like I want to like salvage that relationship. Fuck this guy.
Speaking of 2020 preseason, did you guys watch Hard Knocks with the Rams and the Chargers?
I did not.
I actually did not this year. I usually try to catch it, but it's just I don't know.
It was very good because this year they did 2 teams,
Right.
and 2 teams going through the pandemic,
Right.
and you could just see the totally different coaching styles between Anthony Lynn and Sean McVay.
Right.
Old school versus new school. Both teams are in LA. They have the beautiful facilities and the light blue and orange, yellow logos, and everything was similar, except the coaches were just complete different personalities. Not HBO, if you're listening to my recommendations, which I know you are, do 2 teams again in Hard Knocks. That'd be cool.
Right. I would like to see it. I think it'd be so easy for them to do a Jets Giants Hard Knocks.
100%.
Oh, of course.
It's same facility, same everything. Yeah, they're preseason. One goes to Hofstra, one goes to wherever the Giants go.
Where do the Giants go? I don't know, but yeah,
I know it used to be Albany, but
I don't think it is.
no, that was a while back.
Right. But I think that would work.
Yeah, 100%. And then once they start getting back to the facility for like preseason stuff, I don't know how deep Hard Knocks goes, or if it's just training camp, or if they go into preseason at all.
They go through preseason, but it stops right before the season.
Right. So yeah, and then just move it into the same facility. I feel like that'd be the easiest way to do it.
And Dev, do you want to talk about how the NHL was able to put together a bubble for themselves in COVID?
Yo, the NHL saw what the NBA did, and we're like, all right,
Let's do that.
let's do that. You know, and
Let's do that hockey.
Let's do that hockey. They set up 2 bubbles, one in Edmonton, one in Toronto. Kept the Western teams in the West and the Eastern teams in the East, and
Fucking Trudeau came down. All right, no one's allowed in except for the hockey players, so this is Canada, all right?
Yep. And you know, it was like the NBA, a little weird to watch. You know, especially when you can hear all the players and the refs and everyone shouting, "Hey, I'm open! What the fuck, ref?" But no, they did it right, and they quarantined when players, if someone caught it, and it was just the NHL and NBA were like right with the bubble and keeping people safe.
What I loved, especially about the NBA's bubble, is they took it as an opportunity to make it such an immersive experience. Like the camera work, how they would like bring the low shots because they didn't have to worry about blocking everyone's view. Just like it helped you feel a little more like you were there.
And they had the Zoom fans, which I thought was a nice touch because you got to see I remember Andrew Yang was at the Nets games and Lil Wayne was at the Laker games, but you also had fans, general, fans. But Dev, I was going to say, to the NHL's credit, they also had to deal with a lot more international players than other sports.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, it was getting a little. I mean, luckily, in a sense that it happened during the season, so you had a lot of the international players still stateside. But there was a while where some players went back home to wherever countries they were in, and then they're like, "All right, well, I'm here now. I'm waiting." And then once you get the word that, hey, we're going to start on July, whatever it was. All right, now those players got to figure out, get 2 weeks notice, come back in, get quarantined, and then get back into game shape.
And then you got to remember too, it was up to 2 weeks before that they weren't even sure if they had all the plans laid out. I think it was 2 weeks before, but they had all the plans laid out, but they didn't even know if they were going to be able to make it happen because Canada was just nah, no one's allowed in.
Right.
And then,
well, that's still playing out now because the Blue Jays went the first couple weeks of the season without a home. They played home games in DC, home games in Baltimore before they settled in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have the Tampa Bay Raptors.
Yep.
And now, but I just love how Canadians all kind of agreed, just they're gonna bubble and it's hockey and this is Canada, so yeah, we're gonna let those guys in.
Well, yeah, they were debating not even letting the Canadian teams already be yeah, you know what? You got to find somewhere else to play. But the NHL kind of greased the wheels and presented the plans and stuff. And hey, Canadian teams, all 7 of them, congratulations, you get to stay in Canada.
Awesome.
Yeah. You got to give a lot of credit to a lot of players and a lot of coaches for making the necessary sacrifices, spending a lot of time away from their families at a very difficult time.
Yeah, there's a lot that had to go into making sports happen this season, and I don't think these athletes and the stats behind them get credit enough.
And I think as fans, it makes us all a little bit more appreciative because I remember like going April, May, June, just bored, just didn't know what to do. Because
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
I was working at a gym at the time. Gym was obviously shut down because of COVID, so I was on furlough, and I was like reading books and taking courses and. Oh
Look
my
at this
God,
one
it was-
reading.
Oh,
I literally started 2 shows in that time because I had nothing to do.
that dude was nuts.
No, it's 100% fact. I just was bored, and I had the idea for this show and my other show. I've talked about it before,
Art of
but
Music. Go
yeah.
subscribe.
but I've had these ideas for years, and I was just like, you know what, fuck it, best of time as any.
Yeah.
Like I got the time.
So basically, we're saying thank you, sports, for
Thank you,
becoming,
sports.
making 2020 a little bit better.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but once we kind of hit summer, I feel like sports kind of figured it out.
Yeah,
They got into a flow of what worked, what didn't.
And then-
They had some slip ups, like the Marlins had problems.
but we also had that beautiful time period in like September, I believe, where it was all the sports, where football started. You had the bubble, you had baseball, and was hockey back in September? I believe so,
Yep.
right?
Yep, they were
That-
right behind basketball like by a week or two.
I know, and every
It's just incredible.
like station break on every radio station was just like the only time in all of sports history where you can have all 4 games
Dude.
playing at the same time.
I wore down the last button on my remote. I was just like, baseball, oh, commercial, basketball, oh, commercial, football. Like,
It was a great time.
I'm watching sports on the TV. I got the laptop streaming another game. I got my phone streaming another game. Like,
No, for
it was
real.
amazing.
I literally would have like the fights on my little TV, the football game on my big TV, watching the bubble on my phone, have my laptop pulled up with something else. Like,
yeah, and then we wonder why our eyes hurt.
yeah. But yeah, and then it started to feel a little more normal. Like you still couldn't go out, you still couldn't do that, but like sports went kind of back to normal. Maybe not the normal times, but and there wasn't fans there. You couldn't go to games, but
But it was still like knowing, okay, whatever happens today, I can go home, have dinner, and then watch a sporting event to make me feel comfortable.
and yeah,
Right.
Kendall Hinton might have to come in and play quarterback, but we'll still be
Yeah.
able to watch the game.
Yeah, should we go into our 2020s like award show of weirdest moments?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Let's
I
do it.
think that's one of them right there. Is that because of COVID, very 2020 thing that happened to the Broncos. You had to use a practice squad receiver as the quarterback. You had the
That's crazy.
Ravens, Steelers from Thanksgiving get pushed back to the following Wednesday. The NFL season, we've had a game every day of the year, every day of the week.
Yeah.
Every day
Yeah.
of the week. Every day of the
Holy
year would be
shit.
cool. We've had like multiple Monday night doubleheaders, Tuesday night football. We had
One Wednesday night game.
Wednesday night game.
Obviously Thursday night, Friday night for Christmas this year.
Which was
Saturday,
weird.
the Saturday in between the college football playoffs.
Yeah. College football playoffs are still happening, but the Heisman hasn't happened yet because of COVID. And Kyle Trask, who's nominated for the Heisman in that category, came out and threw 3 interceptions in the first quarter of the Cotton Bowl. People are like, should we take his name off the list? Should he be pulled out? Like,
I think leave his name there and keep it moving.
Because you're not supposed to judge it off of that, but how are you not going to judge that?
Right?
You know what I mean? Now that you've seen it.
Well,
And
isn't it like the whole body of work for that season?
Yeah, but I think the Heisman is supposed to be like the MVP of the regular season.
it is. But once you've seen what happened afterwards, I don't know. But it's just so many weird little 2020 things like that happening. Or like we were talking about the Blue Jays playing home games in Philly. I mean, in D.C. The Yankees played a home game in Philly. The Mets
Yep.
played home games in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, that was wild.
I mean, baseball in general, just the whole only playing the division and the opposing division was very interesting because you saw some teams get exposed when the playoffs came.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about the
It's-
whole playoff format.
I mean, you said it best. 2020 was fucking weird as fuck when everything got going.
Yeah, but like I said, it kind of evened out by like October, I feel like.
It did. There's just some weird little storylines going on.
All right, so how do we want to move into it? I have my MMA awards. You wanted to do like best and worst. So how do we want to move on from here? We can just go into MMA just because
Yeah.
every
let's just start.
MMA guy does this, so I have to do it.
All right.
All right. I only picked 6 categories. I'm not going to be one of these shows that have 19 different fucking awards. I just picked the top 6 that everyone wants to do. I'm going to start out number 1 with my breakout fighter of the year. And you got to give it to Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland has won 5 fights in a single year. That's incredible. Like, a busy fighter will have 3 fights in a year.
Yeah.
That's with training camp. And he knocked out Jacare Souza off his back. He went from the hardcore fans knowing him as the guy Dana White hated because he talked too much shit on the Contender Series to being the guy Dana White loves because he's knocking people out and talking shit while doing it. He was the one on the one we watched where Joe Rogan was just like, this guy's just fucking having a conversation with him.
He's like, I've never seen this guy just casually talking while fighting.
So, yeah, I know a lot of people are going to say Kazmat Chimaev, but he had a big run in like the summer, but
I'd be impressed if a lot of people are saying him because I feel like there's no chance I can ever say that name.
well, they only say Hazmat or Kazmat. It's kind of like Khabib. They just say the first name and we'll leave the rest of it.
So to recap, breakout fighter of the year is
Kevin Holland. And we do want to give an honorable mention to Charles Oliveira. Just another guy who's been on a streak all year, and I feel like that Tony Ferguson domination he just had really just cemented him. Again, I didn't give him breakout fighter partially because just Kevin Holland had such a great year, but also because he's a guy who's been known to hardcores for a while. He's been in the UFC for a long, long time. But this year, he finally crossed over into that mainstream success of people who are casual fight fans who just like fighting. You know who Charles Oliveira is at this point.
Yeah, very entertaining fighter.
And
Charles, if you want to pick up your award, feel free to message the Basement Boys podcast on Twitter or social media.
Well, he's honorable mention. It's Kevin's award.
Sorry, I meant Kevin. Kevin, come find us on social media. Everyone else should like and follow us on social media as well.
But Charles, if you just want to come hang out, feel free to. You're more than welcome to come to the basement.
Anyone with the nickname Do Bronx, I'm here for it. All right, so number 2, I'm going submission of the year. I'm actually going a submission outside of the UFC. I think AJ McKee's team over Darian Caldwell in the Bellator Grand Prix was just insane. He literally invented his own submission and used it in a professional fight.
Can we clip it? Can we get a clip of that and put it on the YouTube video, or is that illegal?
No, we'd get a copyright strike. I would love to do that stuff.
Fuck you, Dana.
But no, it's not Dana. It's Bellator, so it's Scott Coker and Paramount.
Fuck you, Scott.
But yeah, so I had to go outside the UFC for this one. I know we mainly focus on UFC here, even though I'll give it to Scott Coker. Over the last few years, he's really been starting to build up Bellator, bringing in like Corey Anderson and what's his name? Okay, it just got him Rebel Johnson and Yoel Romero, and just he's building up that lineup really well. But yeah, it was crazy. I thought the twister from Bryce Mitchell was great, but we've seen that before. This is something he came up all by himself. Like, when he was setting it up, I was just like, he's going for something, but I have no idea, like, what the fuck this even is. And then all of a sudden, Darian tapped. And he's like a stud NCAA wrestler. I was surprised to see him get caught in it. I just creativity-wise, I have to go that one. KO of the year. You have to go Joaquin Buckley.
Have to.
Like, via ninja shit, as I call it. Because that was just fucking incredible. I've seen someone, like, get their leg caught and throw a kick and, like, catch the guy and maybe even knock them out before. But to hit him, catch him like he did. Like, he didn't just buzz him. He didn't, like, spinning heel kick into him. He caught him square on the fucking forehead with a piston and then landed the fucking thing. It was incredible. The only one that I think even came close, and I'll give another honorable mention, we mentioned it when we were talking about Breakout Fighter, is Kevin Holland's knockout of Jacare Souza. Just coming off his back like that, it is so hard to get the torque to make a punch off your back land like that, and it was incredible. And it's something I never really seen, but Joaquin Buckley definitely gets that one. Fight of the year, I'm going back real early in the year. I think, yeah, before even the world shut down. This was
Pre-COVID.
yeah, this might have been like the last.
Do we call this time BC before COVID?
Yeah, right.
Yes.
I think this might have been like the last pay-per-view, or maybe the last fight night. I think it was a pay-per-view though, before the world kind of shut down. And I'm going Zhang Weili versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk. I know the Figueiredo Moreno fight was fantastic. I know there were other fantastic fights throughout the year, but my God, the level, it was a slugfest at some of the highest level technicality I've ever seen. Just Joanna is Joanna, crazy kickboxer, and she just got bullied by Weili Zhang, but like still kept it in a fight, like still kept it as a good fight. But Weili Zhang is just so powerful for 115, and 115 is a very just. The people in 115, like the high-level people in 115, are some of the best in the world. And even though, like, I thought really hard about the Figueiredo Moreno fight, but I just, the more I thought about it, the more I was just like, you know what, I feel like this is recency bias, and I went back and watched the Weili Zhang Joanna fight again, and I realized it was just such a beautiful fight. Fucking Joanna left that fight looking like fucking, Sloth from the Goonies. Like, no, she did though. Her fucking forehead was out to here. Like, it was incredible. So yeah, definitely fight of the year.
Can we get a picture of that, or would they come after us?
Yeah, they probably come after us.
God damn.
We'll try. I'll see what I can do.
We'll throw it on the Instagram, maybe tweet it out.
Yeah.
We'll tweet out links to all these fights.
For sure. Female fighter of the year. I know a lot of people want to give it to Amanda Nunes, and to be fair, Amanda Nunes can win it every year. She's the greatest female fighter to ever fight. It just is what it is. But she only really fought, if I remember correctly, she only really fought Felicia Spencer this year, and she dominated her, and it was a great fight. But I just think Weili Zhang and Valentina Shevchenko's body of work over the year was just better, even though Weili Zhang didn't. I think she only fought that one time against Joanna herself. But it was just a lot steeper level of competition in Joanna. But I'm giving it to Valentina Shevchenko solely for the fact that she defended her title twice in dominant fashion and saw her first little bit of adversity since moving to this division. In the Jennifer Maia fight, she lost a round and just came back and took that round back. Just every other round since. She just beat her down. She made the right adjustments, and I think that moves her into Female Fighter of the Year for me. So Valentina Shevchenko, Female Fighter of the Year. And then Male Fighter of the Year, I think you have to give it to Davison Figueiredo. He missed weight and beat Joseph Benavidez, then he made weight and beat Joseph Benavidez and actually got the title, and then defended it 2 more times. Going from a guy that everyone thought in the first fight, I mean, I wouldn't say the hardcores didn't, but most MMA fans just thought Benavidez was going to walk through him. They thought they were just kind of handing him the title after his years of service to the UFC. But that's not how it went down. He got starched twice. Starched. And Davison Figueiredo, again, went from someone to basically in complete obscurity. Like, only like the hardcoreiest of hardcores knew who he was, to really resurging a division when that was definitely started by Henry Cejudo. But Davidson has brought it to a whole new level of just making flyweight a respected division in men's, which has never been.
Yeah, I'm going to be completely honest. I did not know who he was before this year, but you gassed him up a bit, and then we watched the pay-per-view about a month ago, and he looked amazing. He was just very entertaining.
So I really think he's just strung together a very nice resume with the 2 wins over Benavidez, then then beating a young killer like Alex Perez, and then that Moreno's fight was fucking just probably my runner-up for fight of the year, if it wasn't for the Weili Zhang Joanna Jędrzejczyk fight. And so I feel like you got to give him to him, and that's that, kids.
Thank you to all of our winners. Your awards are in the basement. Feel free to come by at any time and grab them.
Exactly. All right, so let's move into some best and worst.
All right, so I want to talk about guys having the best 2020s. For me, number 1, Patrick Mahomes, I mentioned earlier. Let's be honest. He won the Super Bowl. He looked amazing. He got paid in the offseason, $500 million. He had a near MVP season now in this current season. He's 14-1. Going back to the contract, he got paid so much money that he became a part owner of the Kansas City Royals. That's how much money. Like, put that in perspective. Just think, like, that would be the Giants paying Eli Manning so much that he went out and was like, I'm going to buy part of the Yankees.
Yeah, and he got the I think it was the ESPN commentators to apologize to his mom.
Yep.
Yeah.
He got engaged.
Yes.
And
Like,
he
2020's
joined- I was gonna say he also joined the 99 club in Madden.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes has been winning this year.
He's having himself a year. Just
winning.
to piggyback off of him, though, my 1B, like, side note, would be State Farm having a hell of a year, because State Farm's got all the commercials with Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, who they're 1 and 2 in the MVP conversation. Aaron Rodgers probably going to win it. They very well could meet in the Super Bowl. Might have to call it the State Farm Super Bowl, but they're having a moment. They have Chris Paul in a lot of commercials, and he is on the Suns now, so
Peyton Manning.
that's something.
They have Peyton Manning too, and
He's
That's
Nationwide is on your side.
yes.
Oh, shit.
Nationwide is on your
Whatever.
side.
Chicken parm is really tasty.
What?
That was one of them.
You lost me there. I'm sorry, I didn't see that
I'm
one.
sorry.
And then another guy having a great year, Mookie Betts. Boston Red Sox are on a downswing. They won the World Series 2 years ago, but have been pretty garbage since then. He got traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers, which is one of the most storied franchises in all of sports. He got paid, 13-year deal,
Hey.
got huge contract, and they won the World Series, and he was fucking awesome. So, big year for him. Revenge of the year would probably have to go. I had this earlier, and I lost it, so we're going to cut that. We're just going to splice that whole minute right there.
We're gonna keep moving.
The best football game of the year, in my opinion, was that Monday night game that recently happened between the Browns and the Ravens. That was just a shootout. Absolute shootout. Personal note, I took the Browns +3, so that fucking safety at the end broke my heart.
Oh yeah, I remember you texted me right when it happened. You were just like, "Whoa, crazy safety!" And then you thought about it for like 30 seconds. So you texted me again. I had the Browns +3.
Yeah, that was one of my 2 heartbreaking losses. So the other probably best play of the NFL season of the 2020 year was the Hail Mary, the DeAndre Hopkins catch. I had the Cardinals -2.5.
You mean it wasn't cover 0?
No, we're gonna get to that. That is the best and worst segment. You can't tip my hand. I had the Cardinals -2.5. They get that touchdown to go up 2, and did not kick the extra point, so they didn't cover. But you did lead me into the worst play of the year. The Jets defending a Hail Mary called a cover 0 blitz, and the Raiders pulled out the miracle in the Meadowlands. That was probably the worst moment of football I've ever experienced.
Seriously, like, again, we say it all the time. The Johnsons do not fire people in the middle of the season. It took one play, and they were like, oh, yeah, the guy we passed up on Matt Rule and all these other people because they didn't want him to be the coordinator, and we had to have him as the coordinator. Yeah, one play, fuck you, you're out of here.
Yeah, so that was the high and low of the football season.
Oh, gee, I got another low right there to jump on this point. Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah.
Chris last week went off on Dwayne Haskins, and now the man is unemployed.
Did I get him fired? Who knows?
I'm not saying you did.
Is Dan Snyder just like keyed into the podcast being like, this Chris guy knows what he's talking about. Let's get him the fuck out of here.
I mean, you go into the league, the season, presumed number one starter. All right, you have a little bit of a hiccup here and there. New coaching regime doesn't kind of like you, and you lose your job. Then,
to a guy with half a leg.
Right. And then he gets injured. So you got a chance to do right, to prove you belong there.
And you come out in the media being like, oh, I'm just so thankful for this second chance and blah, 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 blah.
And then what do? Goose egg. Just horrible game. And then it's like, all right, fine. You lost the game. No big deal. But then you go out and you party with strippers for your girlfriend's birthday and no fucking mask.
And you get booty sweat in your mouth with no mask.
You try and spread corona to the team? No. And then, you know what? Hey, thanks for coming. We'll see you later.
What's crazy is he was named the captain in the preseason, and then he literally got booted from the team before the end of the season.
And he should have seen the writing on the wall when he got stripped of the captainship. When have you ever seen someone who gets stripped of a captainship? One. And two, when have you ever seen the presumed starter in the beginning of the year not be a captain?
Right.
It's
at quarterback? Never.
Dwayne Haskins is in the running for worst year. I do blame the strippers because we're going to talk about James Harden, but the strippers had an effect. But speaking of the Washington football team, we got to talk about Riverboat Ron beating cancer.
Hold on. Before we move on real quick, and I do want to talk about Riverboat Ron. That's my guy. Can we talk about how big of an impact strippers have had on the COVID seasons?
Let's talk about it.
There's nothing to do. You go out to the strip club, see some titties.
No, but this started all the way back at the bubble with Lou Williams.
Lou Williams going to the strip club for the
lemon pepper wings, my guy.
Them some good wings, man.
Yeah, Dev, you been there?
I don't.
Allegedly.
Oh yeah. That was a big Magic City guy.
Dude, someone did the math on it, and it was like a 12-hour drive to get to Magic City from the bubble, and it was like, you're not driving 12 hours for some wings, bro.
Come on, my guy. They don't got Uber Eats out there? Like, come on.
And now the James Harden going out partying with strippers in Atlanta and then Las Vegas, showing up late to preseason, costing, all his teammates have to go through the protocol. So you have John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins haven't played yet or a weekend into the season.
I never thought I'd hear so much talk about strippers on like respectable sports shows. Like, it's not even like the fringe ones where they're just like, oh yeah, we know all the players like to go out to the strip club after the game, see some booty cheeks clap. Like, no, it's like ESPN, it's like Jeff Passett, it's like Woj talking about, oh yeah, so James Harden went out to see some cheeks get clapped.
It's 2020. It's a pandemic, and players are just like, I want my entertainment.
I know, but this is just not. Out of all the things that could have come out of a pandemic season, just the massive impact of strippers.
Strippers are having a moment.
Props to the strippers. Come on, players, get your shit together.
Well, that's like when the St. Louis Cardinals in baseball had a little outbreak because the players were at a casino. Guys, it's a pandemic. You could lay off the casino to play baseball.
Be like Mike, play cards on the back of the plane for like $50 a hand.
Yeah, and they got like sports betting online. Like, you didn't have to go to the casino to get your gambling fix.
Yeah.
And not even just sports betting. Like, there's fucking casinos online.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
strippers had their moment.
Definitely had their moment. But back to Riverboat Ron.
Riverboat Ron had a moment. He's a feel-good story of the year.
Yeah, literally the one good thing that came out of this whole year. The one guy who really couldn't get COVID, A, didn't get COVID, and B, beat cancer. Well,
and C, turned around a horrible franchise. Or is turning around a horrible franchise.
We're going to get to week 17, but they could win the division Sunday night.
We'll get to that when we get to that, but yeehaw, my guy. Yeehaw, that's all I'm going to say.
So it's also been a very big year for women in sports.
Yes,
Yep.
huge year for women
We
in
got to
sports.
talk Sarah Fuller being the first Division I female football player, the kicker for Vanderbilt.
First woman to score a point, first
Mhm.
woman to play a game, first woman to, I think, even suit up for the Big Ten.
SEC.
Yeah. I mean, yes,
And-
SEC.
I'm sorry,
SEC.
again, I'm fucking trash at.
And then
There have been other female kickers before, but I think it was like Division II.
something like that. And then just recently, this happened last night. When you're hearing this, it might have been a couple of days ago, but Becky Hammond, assistant coach for the Spurs, took over after Popovich got ejected. First female head coach, even though it was for part of a game. Still an incredible accomplishment.
And I love the story about how she found out. Apparently,
Oh, this is great.
he got ejected, and Pop was just like, "You got it, kid," and just was out.
Gave her the clipboard and walked away.
Classic Pop.
Yeah, like we were talking about it off air before the podcast. Pop is always at like the front, like cutting edge front runner for all these like different social justice movements. Like he came out with that great video about the Black Lives Matter movement at the like when that was all going down, and now he's with all this, like this being like, you know what, she was the best person to do it. I'm gonna give it to her. Just he's looking towards the future, not towards the past, and that's why I really respect.
Speaking
Pop.
of that, I think we should take a minute to appreciate all the athletes who took activism to the highest levels, starting with the Milwaukee Bucks, who protested a game in the bubble, which led to the entire NBA being shut down, and then in solidarity, the MLB shut down for a day.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just awesome to see that players were saying, look, there's bigger issues going on in the world.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people, like, when we brought this up originally, like, you'll hear people say, like, oh, like, this is a sports show, you shouldn't talk about this, but you can't, like, you can't make money off these people, you can't make content off these people, you can't do all these things without talking about the things that they want to talk about.
Right.
That they're using their platform to get out. You can't make a profit or try to advance yourself off the work these players are doing. Because let's be fair, we put work into this, but we're not doing even a fraction of the work these men have done to get where they are right now.
Yeah,
Right.
without them, there wouldn't be a show. So
So
If
you
they want to.
you can't just sweep aside the issues they want to talk about because it's not what you feel like doing.
All right, I was going to say, like, if they're out there, using their platform to raise awareness and bring to the forefront, these social injustices, fuck it, we're going to talk about that because that's what they're doing and that's what we're about.
Exactly.
yeah, and like you said earlier, Adam Silver, best commissioner in the league. I mean, in sports, the NBA was the forefront, leading the fight. The NFL, being the NFL, was a little bit behind. They did have the kneeling for unity, the opening game, and Chiefs fans booed
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
Kansas. But that's just 2020. 2020, you have the best and the worst, and I mean, we covered it all. I mean, COVID
But
throughout
at
the
least
sports world.
I know it was just like a symbolic gesture and it didn't really do anything, but at least I will give the NFL that they came out and said, like, look, we handled this incorrectly. Whether they're just saying it to save face or whatever, at least they came out and acknowledged it.
Right. But I think it was just a good encapsulation of 2020 to see the sports world find its way around COVID by making the bubble and having no fans and doing what they need to do. But the players also saying, look, if we're going to be dancing around COVID, or not dancing, if we're going to acknowledge COVID and still put our product out there, we're going to acknowledge social justice and inequality and Black Lives Matter and all of the tensions going on in our country as a whole, and still have the season carry on and still use our platform to the fullest that they can.
And I think what's also great about this is in past years, like you've had like Michael Jordan, like, oh, Republicans buy sneakers too. Just the big stars kind of wanted to protect their own brands and not really get into it. But LeBron James won another title this year. He was ready to throw that all away and say, you know what, with everything going on, fuck these playoffs. I'm going to cancel it. You
Right.
know what I mean? He was willing to do that, and everyone else kind of talked him off the ledge there, but he put his money where his mouth was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you normally don't see that from the big stars who kind of just want to keep it like in the middle. They don't want to alienate people because they're working on their other stuff. LeBron James basically came out and said, look, I am the brand.
Right. And we saw other players like Westbrook leading marches and giving away he was giving away laptops to schools that couldn't afford but needed laptops for COVID.
Right.
And a lot of athletes, I think just 2020 in general kind of brought out the best and worst in humanity. And I think a lot of these athletes showed that they are genuinely really good people. And as fans, we're appreciative.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, yeah.
So that was 2020 in the sports world.
It was a
Crazy.
it was a hell of a ride.
Anything else you guys want to add?
Oh, I'm sure there's so much that we missed because so much kept happening.
Yeah. There's no way we'd need a fucking 12-hour podcast to go through everything that happened this year.
I will say one cool thing that happened was if you look at the champions, they're pretty much the best at each sport.
True.
Or like
Yep.
the Chiefs, you look at Mahomes and you're like, the Chiefs are head and shoulders above. And you look at the Dodgers and you're like, they have so many, Cy Youngs and MVPs between Bellinger and Betts and Kershaw, and they won. And the Lakers, obviously, with LeBron and Anthony Davis, it was like you kind of saw that they were the best teams, and they actually won, which, some people, you might hate the Lakers because they're Lakers, you might love them, whatever. But it's not every year that you see the best teams actually pull it off.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how this NFL season. I know that's going into 2021, but the end of the 2020 season, fucking, who knows? Cowboys might make a run.
Oh,
You never know.
fuck the Cowboys.
No, but in fairness, there was some surprises from Florida teams. I mean, the Lightning won the Stanley Cup.
True.
The Rays were in the World Series until they took out Blake Snell, and then they were out of the World Series.
Very fast.
Miami Heat surprised everybody, got to the bubble finals.
Yeah.
Oh, that was okay. One last thing. One last best of. The best glow up, the bubble star, is Tyler Hero.
Yeah.
Dude went from an unknown white bench warmer for Kentucky, balls out in the bubble, became best friends with Jack Harlow. He's now dating an Instagram model that was formerly dating Kyle Kuzma. Everybody wants to be Tyler Hero now.
Yeah, but then that one Instagram model just put out his business when he tried to DM her.
All right, well,
I saw that.
rough. And then fucking like as soon as he starts going off in the bubble, hey,
Yeah, well,
how are you?
heavy is the head that wears the crown. When you're the king, people coming after you, and he was killing it for a while.
Also, worst on Tyler Hero's thing, probably the worst attempt to look tough I've ever seen in my life. He looked like a toddler trying to act tough, and
That
you
was-
just wanted to be like,
Oh.
oh, you're adorable.
That's in the conversation for weirdest stories. Another weird story that I want to talk about is Earl Thomas. So he had a pretty bad year. We didn't get to a
Rough.
whole lot of worsts, but
Rough year.
he had a rough
Dude, that's an
year.
understatement.
He was on the Ravens. They fizzled out in the playoffs. Then in the preseason, he got into a fight with his teammates. Story came out that his wife caught him cheating, but having a three-way with his brother, and he called the cops. And he said, that was the kind of thing that just happens sometimes.
Yeah. No. I mean,
Now he-
That doesn't really happen to me, but I mean,
and now he's unemployed. So, weird year for Earl Thomas.
yeah, I'm surprised no one went after him.
He's
I
just-
mean, if you're
He's
a
such
problem
good
for this,
player.
but if you're a problem for the Seahawks and the Ravens, all right, that's got to be a red flag.
I know, I get it, but like
yeah, I mean,
T.O. kept getting chances. Like,
to Devin's point, though, like the Ravens were like, Ray Lewis, okay, we'll allow it.
yeah,
Ray Rice, okay, we'll allow it.
no,
Earl
yeah,
Thomas, you punched a teammate? What? You
Out.
got guns
Out.
and having threesomes with your brother? Sorry, you got to go, man. You got to go.
weird day.
That's just a weird thing to happen.
Yeah,
Also, I think another honorable mention for having a terrible 2020 is Odell Beckham, as mentioned earlier. Year
Yep.
started with him getting caught on camera giving money to the LSU players, slapped the cop's ass, which was just a dumb thing to do.
almost got arrested for it. Like, I'm
Pro-
sorry, just dumb.
Pro-life tip, no matter how rich and famous you are, you just don't slap a cop.
Yeah. Just
Don't do
don't
it.
touch a police officer. Like,
Um,
Just keep your distance.
Odell then had the story come out that allegedly he enjoys getting shit on his chest.
Do we really believe that?
Yes.
I mean, listen,
I
Absolutely.
don't.
he's in Cleveland. He likes the Cleveland Steamer. Like, he's just embracing the city.
Wow, Dev.
He always wanted to be a Brown.
Oh my God, I hate the both of you right now.
I guess you'll never see him in the Super Bowl.
Maybe a toilet bowl.
He is the Super Bowl already.
And then lastly for him, though, he got hurt, season-ending injury, and the team's gotten a lot better. So, Odell, you're not having a great 2020, my
Yeah.
friend.
That sucks. That really does. Because none of those things, like, he should not have slapped the cop on the ass.
No.
But I have no problem with him giving the people money. It's just he just kind of got fucked over because of the rules.
And he kind of fucked over his alma mater because LSU had a postseason ban this year, which I think was also a result of them just being bad this year, but he still cost his team whatever they were going to do.
Right. But it is what it is. But yeah, and then like the injury and all that stuff, it all sucks. It's all things that like look bad for him, but like Dwayne Haskins' decisions affected other people. You know
Dwayne
what
Haskins
I mean?
is the
He just kind of affected himself.
Yeah.
Dwayne Haskins probably wins worst 2020, at least from a football standpoint.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think he's the only first-round pick to be released before the end of the second season.
Yeah, I'd imagine that. Do you think some other team's going to take a chance on him?
Apparently,
he's-
Carolina's looking into him.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
I mean, listen.
I
if
mean,
he's willing,
he cleared waivers yesterday, I believe, right?
yep.
So,
So if he's willing to like sit back and embrace football and do nothing but football and study football, eat football, drink football, party with football, then he might have a chance.
I think he's shown too much talent for someone to not at least bring him in on like a practice squad or as a backup or see what they can do with him.
I mean, I guess if Josh Rosen's he got signed to the 49ers, if he can stick around. I mean, Blake Bortles got signed to the Rams. We might see him this weekend. So I guess Dwayne Haskins, there's
Wait,
still
I thought Blake Bortles was with the Broncos.
Yeah, the
Practice
Rams,
squad.
The Rams, what's the word? Stole him.
Oh,
Same thing with Josh Rosen. He was Tampa Bay's practice squad all year, but he got signed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's pretty much it for the best and worst. We're gonna bring you like a little more condensed week 17 looking, just because there are a bunch of games that matter, but it's only those games that matter at this point.
Right. There's going to also be, as always, a handful of teams resting their starters. Like we know Big Ben is not playing for the Steelers. We
Right.
know Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey and Hill, the Chiefs are putting out their second
Hold on,
string.
can we talk about? I feel terrible for the Browns right now because they're going through the whole COVID thing, and that could keep them out of the playoffs. But can you imagine if Mason Rudolph keeps them out of the playoffs?
Oh, it's happening.
I don't know,
I mean,
Mal.
they're
I don't
not
think
gonna-
Myles Garrett is gonna. I don't think Myles Garrett's gonna let that happen.
Oh, Miles, is this the first time they've played since that happened?
This is the first time
They met
Rudolph
up.
will play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's for the division. Well, it's not for the division. It's for a playoff spot.
Dude, Miles Garrett is going to break him.
Myles Garrett
Break
hasn't
him.
forgotten.
Yeah, as long as the Browns have receivers, because to our credit, the New York Jets are on a 2-game win streak, beating the Browns because the Browns had no receivers. So
You know what?
it worked.
I had fun watching that game. Like, I knew we weren't going to get the first overall pick anyway, especially when the Jacksonville started to lose their game, even though it looked like they could have won that game at first.
That game was like 10-10 at the half, and then they lost like 33-10.
Yeah.
Way to go.
So, but at least this week, I can just sit back, watch the game. Stidham's probably going to be playing. We have a better shot at beating the Patriots with it. It'll just be fun to watch the Jets beat the Patriots for a change. All right, so moving on, we'll touch on the Ravens-Bengals game. Only thing we're really touching on is the fact if Ravens win, they're in. That's big for them. They looked like they could have been on the outside looking in multiple times this season, but they're starting to figure it out and come back around right at the end of the season. So if they get in, could be a problem, and I don't expect
I mean, the Bengals have been playing well, but they've also been playing bad teams. So
And it's also the Burrow-less Bengals and they still don't have an offensive line.
they beat the Steelers. Who knows? That would be something if they could beat the Steelers and then 2 weeks later beat the Ravens to keep them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that
Oof.
I don't see it happening, but that would be something.
That'll be a nice little feel-good story for them.
Yeah, but so yeah, Ravens when they're in, Packers are playing the Bears. Fully expect the Packers to take that, especially because Aaron Rodgers did come out on his weekly spot on the Pat McAfee show and basically said in no uncertain terms, "Hey, we're playing for this number 1 seed. We're not sitting people. We're not just accepting that we're in the playoffs. Like, no, we want the advantage. We want the week off. We want home field. We want everything that comes along with it."
Especially with the playoff format the way it is now, with the number 1, only the 1 bye.
Right.
They're gonna absolutely try to lock that up.
And against the Bears, I do see it happening.
The game matters for the Bears though, because if they win and the Cardinals lose, Bears are in the playoffs.
True, but I think it's apples and oranges what these teams bring to the table.
Oh, yeah.
We saw them play a couple weeks ago, and it was bad for the Bears.
It did not work out very well for them. A couple other quick hitter games. Titans, Texans, when they're in. Texans always have the ability to win a game. I feel like they can always stay in it because they have Deshaun Watson, because they have J.J. Watt. They have these quintessential type players, and J.J. Watt's going to come out and play his fucking heart out because he wants it for the fans, all right?
Well, after that speech, I don't see how he does anything less than – I think they should just name him coach.
Like, seriously, if –
Oh, he's not the coach?
I am going to check the lines. They better have a line now for if J.J. Watt's going to get a sack, because I'm fucking
Yeah, of course they will.
betting the house on that.
Yeah.
Also, that Titans-Texans game, that division's not isn't wrapped up yet. So they're playing for the AFC South championship.
Right. If
division.
they lose and the Colts win, then the Colts win the division.
Right.
That brings us to our next game. The Colts are playing the Jags. So the Colts should have a pretty nice, easy win. Just they need some help.
Yeah, they just need some help to get in.
The most likely help for them would be the Dolphins are playing the Bills. And if the Dolphins win, they get in. But the Bills might want to just let Josh Allen stay hot and let him play.
Yeah, very much hoping he doesn't, because I'm going against him in my fantasy matchup, and that would just be big for me. But
Personal reasons aside.
But I also think the Dolphins have been heating up. I definitely think even if they do play Josh Allen and some of these guys, they're going to be used a little more sparingly just to mitigate risk going into the playoffs.
I don't see them playing in the second half. I don't think they're like the Bills can't catch the Chiefs. The worst case, they slip into the 3 spot, but that doesn't really affect them in the first round of the playoffs. So I don't see Josh Allen or Diggs or any of their starters playing in the second half.
They've already locked up the division, so they already have home field. They're not really playing for – nothing's going to change with this game. So if they do play, they're going to be used sparingly and in much more conservative roles.
Yeah, so I think what the big storyline of the weekend is going to be is coming down to the NFC beast. Dev, your Giants.
Oh, you're too kind.
Your Giants taking on the Cowboys.
Yeah. I mean, talk about 2 teams that hate each other, but now you're throwing in a potential playoff spot. Either of these teams win and Washington loses, they're in. They're NFC East champs. Congratulations. You got home field. I think this might be the only year that there's been a 6-10. Yeah, 6-10 playoff team.
Ridiculous.
Well, if the Washington football team wins, they'll be 7-9. But you're right. That would be. I'm cheering for the Giants. I want the Giants to win the division at 6-10.
Okay, so hot take. I think Cowboys take it. I think they take the whole division. I am not sold on Washington beating the Eagles. Jalen Hurts has been playing lights out. That team has been reinvigorated under him. And I feel like Washington has a lot of questions right now. They're not really sure. Like, yeah, he's practicing today, but Alex Smith is still a question mark. Even if he does play, he has a calf strain on a leg that he does not have a calf. So, like, there's just so many variables for Washington, and the Eagles have been playing well with Hurts.
Well, except till they ran into the Cowboys. The Cowboys kind of shit all over the Eagles.
You're right. And that leads me to my next point is the Cowboys are surging right now. I still will say I believe Andy Dalton is the best quarterback in the NFC East right now.
Yep, I'll second that.
Unfortunately for you, Dev, the Giants have not been playing well of late.
And
No, I mean,
again, Daniel Jones is another huge question mark because even if he does play, look what happened when they rolled him out when he wasn't 100% ready the last time. If he's not 100% ready, if he's not feeling good, I think the Cowboys take that by more than a touchdown.
oh, if this game happened like a couple weeks ago, I'm not worried. But being that the Cowboys been playing well as of late, you got the receivers, and Dalton like hooking up and making plays and getting touchdowns. I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous going to Sunday's game.
Rightfully so.
And I feel like the Giants have a lot of big question marks right now.
Well, it'll help that you have Bradbury back.
True.
He can take off.
He'll take down Amari, but you still got to worry about Gallup and CeeDee Lamb.
And CeeDee Lamb and Andy Dalton have been getting a nice little repertoire going the last few weeks.
Yeah, Michael Gallup had a great week a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't play him.
And
I'm so upset.
I mean, they
A
tore
lot of people did not play Gallup.
I know.
They tore up the Eagles' defense, which is something like we were saying, a lot of question marks for the Washington football team. If Alex Smith can play and get a little bit of time, especially with Fletcher Cox being injured, I think Terry McLaurin can have like a division-winning game.
Is Terry McLaurin playing though?
Oh, is he not? Is he questionable?
I saw he was questionable.
I honestly have no idea. So,
Well, if he suits up, I think there's no one on the Eagles secondary that can keep up with him, and he can have one of those games that wins the division. But if he doesn't play, then who knows? Maybe Jalen Hurts.
I know, but Jalen Hurts, since he's taken over, that team's averaging at least 24-ish points a game.
Yeah, but against the Cowboys, they scored 14 in the first 10 minutes and then finished the game with 17.
Right.
So I don't know. Either the Cowboys figured out what to do with him, or
but their
choked a little
defense.
bit.
Also, the Cowboys defense has come around a little bit in those last couple of weeks. And look what he did against Arizona. Look what he did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they've gotten healthier. So that's another problem for Daniel Jones is that the Cowboys have a healthy defense.
Right. And that defense was supposed to be sick. That's why they were trying to. That's why Jerry Jones was trying so hard to get Jamal Adams in the offseason, because that's just another piece to put them over the top.
Right. So who would have guessed that out of all 2020 things, that the most exciting division would be the NFC East come last week of the season?
And the fact that
Who would have thunk it?
I'm shocked at myself for picking the Cowboys, because all season they were the one team I knew was not going to win this division. But
Here we are.
Going into Week 17 with everything going on, I really have a strong feeling that they're going to take it.
When Dak went out, everybody kind of just assumed that was the end.
Well, I
And
mean,
It's not even that I thought that, because, again, I thought Andy Dalton was probably the best backup in the league this year.
well, except Taysom Hill, technically.
I'd still put him over.
No, I take Dalton over Hill.
Really?
Just because he's been a starter in the league so long, you know what I mean? He knows how to fill that role. Where
Right.
Taysom still, before this year, he's had 5 snaps at quarterback?
Maybe.
Right. But it's like what we saw last year with Teddy Bridgewater, when Bridgewater needed to fill in.
Right. That team's just so stacked that even when Teddy Bridgewater came in, and Teddy Bridgewater's a good player. He's had a little bit of struggles this year, but he's also not playing for a great team. So
No, but you're right. It just shows how much it benefits to have a competent backup quarterback, where Andy Dalton was able to take the keys to the offense and say, look, we still have Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb. We can make this work.
And even with his, like we talked about last week, Zeke trending down, he had a better couple games over the last couple games than he had for most of the season.
So my real question becomes, regardless of who wins the division of these three teams, do you think any of them can make any noise in the playoffs?
I think if the Cowboys keep playing the way they are, they can. And I think if Alex Smith is healthy and Washington does win, I think that defense, if that defense can get on track, Alex Smith can get them enough points. I don't think they're going to be scoring 30 points a game, but if the defense can play well and keep it to 2 touchdowns, I think Alex Smith can get there.
I think it also depends on who they play. I think if they get matched up with the Bucks. I think that front seven of Chase Young, Montez Sweat, like we keep talking about, like they can get after Brady and make him make mistakes.
Right.
And the Bucks defense has been very hit or miss. I think they could play a good game there. I think I agree with you somewhat that the Cowboys are hot, but I just don't think I just don't believe in Andy Dalton in the playoffs. And I'm sorry, Dev, I don't think the Giants would win any games in the playoffs.
Oh no, Giants would not win. I mean, it'd be bittersweet if they won because of like, hey, cool, we made the playoffs, and then I know it's going to be one and done. See you later. There's the door.
But then you move from like the 6th overall pick to like the 20th. Like I don't understand.
I know,
especially because out of all of them, I think you guys have the least opportunity to make any noise in the playoffs.
Yeah. I was looking at the draft order, and we're literally like, if we win the division, I think we move down to like 20. But if we lose the division, we're like a top 10 team.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's every team in the division, even with Washington.
Yeah, I think Washington would have the best record of them.
Yeah. I think Washington might be like top 15 or something.
No, I think they're still in the top 10.
Oh, really?
I just think it's like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
It's a crazy year. Like, I'm there. I'm like, all right. Like, obviously, I want to win and I want to go to the playoffs.
If they lose this game,
but at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, if we lose, we might get that good draft pick. Maybe get another stud.
I think you're kind of in a win-win situation with this game because you make it, you get a good, you make the playoffs. You don't make it, you get a good draft pick. Like,
I mean, either way, if the Giants, like, let's say the Giants win this game, but then Washington wins, which would probably be the worst case for you because the 6-win Giant team would probably pick like 10th. But if you told me that the Giants would lose Saquon Barkley week 2 and still win 6 games, I would be very impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. And Gallman could be setting them up next year they could set them up for a nice 1-2 punch.
Oh, yeah.
The Giants should definitely go after Allen Robinson in the offseason, get a second main receiver to go with Darius Slayton.
Oh, yeah. They definitely need someone else.
We have so many holes. But receiving is definitely one of them. Defense, we could show up.
Don't talk to us about player holes, Dev. All right? That's all
true.
the Jets have.
That is true.
Jets are a hole.
Jets are fucking Swiss cheese, my guy.
No, that coverage 0 defense is.
Oh. Well, 0 is a big hole if you think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? I had my good joke earlier on the podcast. I'm just going to sign off right now, and I'll see you guys later.
Oh, I thought you were actually leaving for a second. I'm not going to lie. You had me worried for a second.
It's one of those years where we're going to see the Colts potentially, at least 10 wins, potentially 11 miss the playoffs, and then the Giants could get in with 6 wins.
Ugh.
Yep.
Gotta love football.
Dude, I hate.
Gotta love 2020.
If it was like 20 years ago, I think the Colts were in the AFC East. Should be different. They'd be a playoff team. I'm sorry.
No, it's still against the Bills.
The
Yeah,
NFCs.
I'm sorry. I got my bad.
Oh, good.
All right, the only last game we have to talk about is the Cardinals-Rams.
That's going to be a wild game because the Rams are going to be without Goff, without Cooper Kupp.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Murray's playing through a leg injury, and we've seen what happens when he can't really run. When he doesn't have his mobile threat, he's not the same quarterback.
Yeah.
It's going to be a shitty game.
Yeah, it's definitely it's going to be a not fun game. I can never hear anyone say Cooper Kupp without hearing Matthew Berry going, "My little Cooper Kupp."
Yep. Same. I think I've referred to him as Matthew Berry's little Cooper Kupp.
But yeah, it's going to be a sloppy game.
The Rams win, they're in. The Cardinals win. I think they're both in.
I think so.
Wait, what?
Wait, no. Hold up.
How does that work?
Because if the Rams win, then the Cardinals are 8-8, and the Bears would get in. Well, if the Bears win.
No, I think the Bears need to lose and the Cardinals need to win.
And then they're both in?
And then both the Rams and the Cardinals are in?
Okay, that makes sense.
But yeah, I fully expect the Bears to lose to the Packers.
But I think the Cardinals are going to win just because without Jared Goff, who himself is like a liability half the time. You're going to have John Wolford, who's just John Wolford probably like delivered pizza to the facility one day, and they were like, "Yeah, come, you're a quarterback."
And they still picked him over Josh Rosen.
Yeah. So there's that.
Not only that, you got potentially Cam Akers. Might still be banged up. I think Malcolm Brown's hurt. Like half that Rams offense is hurt.
But they do have a great defense.
Yeah.
They do.
It's going to be Aaron Donald going after Kyler Murray, who's on an injured leg. Jalen Ramsey is going to be on D-Hop. That should be a great matchup to watch.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be the most entertaining game at the 4 o'clock window.
It's going to be a sloppy game, but it should be pretty entertaining.
We asked this question on Twitter. Basement Boys Podcast. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram, social medias, all of that. I had a poll out there asking, is Cliff Kingsbury a bust? This is how the Twitter world works. We got 113 votes, and the tally was 50-50.
Right?
That seems about right.
Yeah, right.
That makes sense.
How do you guys answer that question? Is Cliff Kingsbury a bust?
No.
I think it might be. I think it might be a little too early. Like,
yeah,
what's this, year 2 for him?
Year 2.
Yeah.
Trying to develop a rookie quarterback who has been developing. At the beginning of the year, everyone thought Kyler was going to be in the race for MVP. Things slipped a little bit. Things happened.
Shoulder injury.
Yeah, but if he didn't get that injury, he could still be at least in the conversation. Like, I think Aaron Rodgers has run away with it at this point, but
I think the second year for quarterbacks is when you start seeing the big jump, right? Like Patrick Mahomes, we've talked about before, it was his second year that he won the MVP. Lamar Jackson, same thing, second year won the MVP. Josh Allen went from good rookie to really good quarterback second year, and now he's just continued the trend.
right.
We saw the jump with Kyler, but as a team, they didn't make the next step where Kyler can make plays, but on offense, they're still struggling to score.
Right.
So I think Cliff Kingsbury I'm not going to rule him a bust, but I think the chatter around him being like this great genius coach, like he had a losing record as a coach at Texas A&M, was offered the USC offensive coordinator job, took it, didn't coach a single game, and left for the Cardinals. Like I don't think he's ready for an NFL gig.
Didn't he have Patrick Mahomes when he was at Texas Tech?
Yes.
Oh,
And that makes things a little bit easier.
yeah.
Yeah, but also, like,
Wait, no, he was wasn't it A&M?
I have no idea. But either way,
To the Google.
Either way, you also got to remember having a losing record there. Like, we're talking about college football, so if you're not a major recruiting school, you're kind of going to...
No, you were right to have Texas Tech, but he was the offensive coordinator for A&M.
Oh, okay.
If you're
So
not...
you were right.
But like I was saying, if it's not one of these big recruiting schools, like... I look at saltier records in college a little differently than I do the NFL, depending on if it's like a Bama or a Clemson or a Texas A&M.
Kingsbury was the offensive coordinator for Houston when they had Case Keenum, who set all of the records. It was Dana Holgorsen, just the air raid offense. He set all of the passing records, 50 points a game, 600 yards of offense a game. Goes to A&M. You know who his quarterback was when he was the offensive coordinator?
Johnny Manziel?
Johnny Manziel.
Oh.
Goes to Texas Tech. Yeah, he has this Patrick Mahomes character. He actually had Baker Mayfield for a little bit before he transferred. Cliff Kingsbury, all right, you've had some pretty decent quarterbacks to make him look pretty good. I still think Kyler will blossom into a great quarterback. I just think Cliff Kingsbury was given this huge praise and hasn't really earned it.
But I also think they're coming out of their rebuild this year, I feel like.
Yes, I just think I'm a Cliff Kingsbury truther.
Because you got to remember, the year before Kingsbury was hired, we thought they were going to go 0-16.
That's true.
Like they had a fucking garbage organization that year, and I think they went 1-15. They were the joke of the league.
That's true. They turned it around pretty quick.
And yeah, before Kyler was starting to deal with all this injury stuff, they were looking like they were shooing for the playoffs.
Speaking of best of 2020, earlier we missed this. Is that the trade of the year? DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson.
Oh my God!
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, 100%.
David Johnson finally had a good game last week. The Texans still lost and are 4-11.
But he was out half the season.
Out half the season. DeAndre Hopkins,
Balled out.
amazing.
Balled out. Oh my God! Please, just send Deshaun anywhere else. Like,
Yeah,
just-
we need to save Watson. He could come to the Jets. I'd welcome him.
I'd welcome him, but I think the Jets have too many options at quarterback right now to be in that market just for how much they'd have to pay him.
Yeah, we can. I don't even want to get into the Jets. It's just too much to talk about.
Oh my God! But yeah, so it should be an interesting game. Again, don't think Kingsbury's a bust, in my opinion. But yeah, so let's move in to let's get some hot takes going for 2021. What are we feeling? What are we thinking?
2021 bold predictions.
Oh yeah.
I think we're going to see repeat champions in football and basketball. I think the Lakers are going to run to the championship again. The Chiefs aren't going to be touched. I really want to say in baseball because the Dodgers, but the San Diego Padres making these moves, getting Blake Snell and Yu Darvish. The
Took my take.
Dodgers. What's that?
That was gonna be my take.
Oh, go ahead.
No. You got it. You took it.
Were you gonna say,
No, you're already there, all right? You already stole it from him, all right?
I was just going to say that the Padres are going to take the chain from the Dodgers and win the NL West.
I
don't
was
know if
going
they're
to say
gonna
that.
win.
I was going to say Dodgers are going to win. I mean, my fault. The Padres, with the moves they made, going to win the NL West. Dodgers, I'm sorry, you're second place right now. But yeah, no, that's it.
But do you have the Padres going like World Series champs?
No, not yet. They're still I feel like 1 year away. Like, get them one more bat to help them out. I mean, yeah, they got Machado and they got Tatis. And their pitching is amazing, especially pulling off the deal for Snell.
And
World
now
Series.
bringing in Yu Darvish.
Right. And already, I'm pretty sure their pitching wasn't as bad last year. They
No,
were close.
Yeah, they picked up Clevenger, who just happened to get hurt.
Right. That team, I feel like, is one more offensive weapon away from potentially being a World Series champ.
My baseball bold prediction is that the New York Mets are going to get Bauer and Springer, and the Mets will win the World Series. Calling it right now.
Ooh.
I do
My
not
team.
I do not think they're going to win the World Series, but I think they are going to turn into a legitimate contender
The
this
New
year.
York Mets are going to win 145 games this year, set the records. They're going to have the best lineup ever. I'm just kidding.
If you think I'm not going right to editing after this and cutting that exact clip for when they go fucking
Finish last place.
Yeah.
Everybody's hurt.
But yeah.
And then in basketball, like I said, the Lakers are just too good. The Lakers. Are
Mhm.
Yeah. They were far and away the best team in the bubble, and they only got better.
They retooled, younger.
Brought in Montrezl Harrell, brought in Schrodinger over Dwight Howard and Rajon Rondo, who, again, I've said I thought Rajon Rondo should have stayed, but Schroeder is definitely an upgrade.
He's younger and just a lot faster.
Yeah.
But like you said, Montrezl Harrell was sixth man of the year. Schroeder was the runner-up. They added Marc Gasol, who's a great passing big man, and they just look like they're just
And that team
head and shoulders.
that team just feels huge now.
Yeah.
Like adding
is.
Paul Gasol and adding Montrezl Harrell. I'm just saying straight up size-wise. Because LeBron's a big dude. Fucking AD, huge. I just feel like whenever I see that team play, I just feel like, oh, this is a team of skyscrapers who can shoot and dribble and do whatever better than 9.
And they're going to get all the rebounds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think, LeBron's 6'9" and plays a shooting guard? Unreal.
Yeah, how ridiculous is that?
All right, Zev, what are your bold predictions for 2021?
Well, I mean, I was going to go with the Padres, but
Sorry about that one.
Someone had to jump the gun.
Slam
It's
Diego.
okay. It's okay. I mean, kind of right there with you guys. Lakers going to win again. Chiefs going to win again. You know what? I'll say that I'll say this. Braves going to win the World Series next year.
Braves.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
I'm kind of pulling it out of my ass to go completely left field, but no, I like their offense. Ronald Acuna Jr. phenomenal. I feel like he's a game changer. Um,
The MVP,
Damn.
Freddie Freeman.
yeah, I feel like he's going to make a comeback, and I don't know. I just like the Braves' chances. I feel like they were right there too, like against the Dodgers and stuff, and yeah, having a full season at your own ballpark can make a big difference.
All right. Well, my pick and your pick are going to be playing each other a lot, so we got a little rivalry going on because, like, obviously I was joking the Mets aren't going to win 145 games. I don't even know if they'll have a 145 game season this year, but I do think the Mets are going to land Bauer and be a title contender.
I have two. One kind of early on in the year. It's actually finishing off this season. I don't know, man. Over the last couple weeks, basically ever since I made the bet, I feel like I really screwed myself with the bet. I think the Bills might win the Super Bowl this year.
Ooh.
Shit.
I think they're surging at the right time. I think Josh Allen's playing lights out.
Bills Mafia.
I think the Chiefs have been on the downswing the last couple of weeks, not playing like themselves. If they don't get it back together, I think the Bills will take that game. And I could definitely 100% see the Bills beating the Packers. So, do I think it's guaranteed? No, but that would probably be my hot take. I think the Bills are definitely primed for a Super Bowl win this year. Second, I'm going to move it over into fighting because that's my thing. I think Stipe Miocic loses the title this year.
To who?
I think we got some options. I think they're planning on doing Stipe Ngannou too. I think Ngannou has learned from the first fight. I think he's taking his training a lot more seriously. And like Ngannou, Dana, everyone's come out and said the reason that first fight he gassed out so hard because he wasn't really training. He was just kind of feeling himself because he was knocking everyone out because he is the hardest hitting puncher I've ever seen in my life. But so they're looking to do that. And the winner of that fight would go on. They want to go on to face John Jones. No one has ever defended the heavyweight title more than 3 times, and that was Stipe Miocic. It's such a volatile division that it's just so easy to get caught and knocked out. So I don't see Stipe leaving the year as heavyweight champion.
Okay. Well, I think that leads us into some headlines for 2021 that we could keep an eye out for. I think the Bills, definitely everybody's got to keep their eyes on the Bills because, yeah, they're playing like championship team. Stipe could definitely lose his title. My pick of the Mets is a headline in itself of just the free agency of baseball we have to look forward to. Dev kind of talked about it with the Braves because the Braves can very easily land some free agents too.
Yeah.
Some other storylines to look out for.
That's all I really got, actually, as far as like hot take storylines.
I just want to see the return of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Didn't get to do that last year. This year, I mean, like one of the things about the tournament that was always so exciting was having the neutral site, right? You have North Carolina and a team from California playing in Florida, right? Something like that. It's going to be neutral sites for everyone. They're going to probably just do a bubble, so that'll be very entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to have that back. Hopefully baseball, they haven't put out their plan yet, but hopefully we can have a full season of baseball. And
Yeah, they did. I think they're saying – oh, no. Never mind. I'm thinking
I think
basketball.
I think they just have the first couple games scheduled out,
Yeah,
like the first month or two.
No, I was thinking basketball. I wasn't thinking them. My bad.
Oh, okay.
that'll be exciting. And hopefully with the vaccines out now, we can maybe have fans in the crowd for football come September.
Fingers crossed.
Already got round 1 yesterday.
Vaccinated.
Need to do that.
Start building some antibodies, my guy.
Hell yeah.
Just because I forgot to touch on it during the football segment before we wrap it up, I just want to say shout to fucking Frank Gore, man. Fucking monster. What was it, 13 years in the league?
15?
15?
15 or 16?
Could have played his last game last week against the Browns. Has been put on IR for the rest of the season. Just a fucking monster, still going at it at 38. Still maybe not being as productive, but, you know, doing what he needed to do.
And if this was his last game, his legacy will live on because his son could be in the NFL very soon.
And yeah, and like, I know he was on the 0-16 Jets this year, and he hasn't been what he was. But you got to remember, he went 9 years straight.
We're
with
2-13
now, but but he went 9 years straight with 1,000-yard rushing season.
1,600 in his career, 16,000 in his career.
Yeah,
And I think this is like going to be his third game that he missed in his legendary career.
Unbelievable.
yeah. So if it was your last game, Frank Gore, fucking shout to you, man.
We salute you.
You did the damn thing. You really tried to put the Jets in the best situation you could this year. I'm happy you got a touchdown. I'm happy you got a couple wins and didn't go out on the 0-16 team. And just shout to you, my guy.
Big ups to Frank Gore.
All right. So I think that's all we got for the day, eh, boys?
Yeah, we covered up 2020 pretty well. Talked some week 17, I should say. Preview of 2021.
Yeah. So for the last time in the fucking dog shit year that was 2020, I'm Chris Gray. That's Eric Mincer. That's Devin Mitchell. We are the Basement Boys. See you in 2021.
Deuces. See you next year.
Have a happy new year. Stay positive and test negative.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome to the basement.